Hey, what is up everyone? In this video we're going over the 10 pirates you'll come across in the Sea of Thieves. So these are going to be basically just different types of people you would come across, and at different times you could be any one of these. You don't have to be just one all the time. But let's go ahead and get into our first one, and this is the one who has no idea what's going on. This is usually the one that's either stuck at an outpost, they're probably a new player that just has no idea even how to get moving and go to another island. They might even think that the outpost island is the only island that you're supposed to go to in the game. Typically you'll find these pirates running into islands if they find out how to move their ship, and just basically having no idea what to do.
Probably one of my favorite memories of one of these types of players is I happened to go try to attack a galleon that I saw, and it turns out it was crewed by only one person who had just started out, and he had like some loot on him. I don't know why he put himself through that torture, because it clearly says at the beginning like that it's a 4-person ship, but you know, that's what he chose to do, and it was a very easy steal. I'm not condoning the, bullying and harassing newer players, but I was already there, so I might as well try to take some loot.
Next we have the drunk. Now this one is similar to the previous one, but the drunk actually has a little bit more knowledge of what they're doing in the game. They just don't care. They're out here probably just going around in circles on their ship, drinking a bunch of grog, maybe playing some shanties throughout the whole adventure, and sometimes annoying everyone else in the crew. Moving on, next we have the paranoid pirate. Now this is a pirate that is freaked out the whole time that someone's going to attack them. They're constantly looking over their shoulder to see if anyone's coming, and they're usually freaked out and high stress the whole time you're playing. These pirates will typically keep you pretty safe because they're always freaking out for the rest of the crew about other people coming, but they might not be the most fun to play with just because of how stressed they are. So the paranoid pirate actually will hate the next pirate we have to talk about, and that's the stacker. These are the people that you see that want to stack as much loot as they can onto their ship. They don't want to go sell, even if they have a grade 5 emissary. They just want to see how much treasure they can put on their ship and just sell it all at once to get that nice crispy looking screenshot. Typically the stacker usually loses their loot a lot just because they're a high target to every other pirate on the seas. Similar to the stacker, we have the PvEer. So this is one that hates PvP and wants private servers in the game, and basically they just want to spend their time doing voyages and not interacting with anyone. However, if you do see one of these, you can typically identify them because they'll be spamming the "Let's form an alliance" button over and over and over again. These pirates are usually pretty friendly, but if you're in a more devious mood, you can usually sink them pretty easily. And the people that typically want to do this the most are our next one, which is the wannabe PvPers. You heard that right, the wannabe PvPers. The way you can identify the wannabe PvPers, they're usually the most toxic people on this whole list, but also they typically don't have the skills to back up what they're saying. One good sign of finding a wannabe PvPer is if they have the Dark Adventurer sales. That's usually a telltale sign that the people that you're fighting think they're the best, but really aren't that good. But who is really good? And that's the real PvPer, and that's the next one we have to talk about. The real PvPer is one that does not really care about cosmetics too much, but rather just the fun and the glory that comes with PvP. They are really the true reapers of the seas, and they will fight anyone that they can. In the past, you used to be able to identify the real PvPers by having just plain white sails. They didn't want to show off any cosmetics, they didn't want to scare off any potential victims of theirs, so they usually went with the default ship set.
But with the game being out for so long now, more and more people are getting cosmetics for their ship, and it's just a lot easier with Twitch drops and the season pass just to get any type of ship cosmetics. So the white sail strategy is really not a thing anymore. I don't know if I'm sad about it or not. I know I used to be the type that would put the white sails on and go try to find people, but myself, and I know pretty much everyone else that I see used to do that, is now upgrading their ship, customizing it. Now with captaincy out, we are adding trinkets and the little banners and all sorts of stuff. So I think in general it's pretty good since, a lot of the stuff in Sea of Thieves is cosmetic based, and that's kind of what the gold is used for. So to move away from just going to straight default ship and actually putting some colors on it is kind of nice. I have a feeling that a lot of you in my comment section are probably going to identify most with this role as being a PvPer. Whether that's true or not, I guess that's up to you to figure out, but it's definitely one of the most fun aspects of the game.
Now our next pirate to talk about is another PvP pirate, but they're a little bit more sneaky. This is the Tucker. This is one that I identify a lot with. Now the Tucker is basically similar to the PvPer, whereas the PvPer is more of an offensive player. The Tucker is more of defensive and they're more strategic when they play. They're usually sneaking around islands and forts and stuff, waiting for their victims to get all of their loot ready for them to steal in one big score. The Tucker is probably the most dangerous pirate on the seas because you can spend hours and hours of getting all of this loot and then it'll all be stolen at once by the Tucker. Whereas the PvPer and the wannabe PvPer will probably just attack you straight up and not wait for you to finish. Moving on, we have the Scholar. Now the Scholar is basically like the professor, and they pretty much know any fact about Sea of Thieves, whether it's lore based, whether it's how the game works, and pretty much anything you need to know. You can typically identify them by playing with newer players. They're usually the ones that are teaching the newer players how to play and everything that they know, like which way to sail your ship depending on what ship you're on, and how to shoot cannonballs, and what the food is the best to eat, and all that kind of stuff. I also identify with this one a lot too. Now we're moving on to our final pirate, which is the Pirate Lord. This is basically all of the different roles combined into one. The Pirate Lord is a Scholar, a Tucker, a PvPer, a PvEer. They are pretty much paranoid all the time, but they also like to stack their loot, and because they have the PvP skills to back it up, they usually can fight people off and not worry about it. But they also like to have fun, so they're also usually drunk with grog and playing shanties and just goofing off all the time because they don't really have any stakes because they've done everything they need to do in the game, and they're really not too stressed about PvP or PvEing or anything like that because they already got tons of gold that they've already made, and they know so much about the game that they can really take on any fight that comes across their way. But that's my list of the different types of pirates you'll come across on the Sea of Thieves. Let me know in the comments below which one of these you identified most with, and did I miss any? Do you have any suggestions of what other pirates you might come across in the Sea of Thieves? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you hit the like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye y'all.